Now, this is extremely similar to what we saw happen with GERD, which, by the way, veterans are not happy with. So I'm going to use GERD changes and compare those with these new changes for constructive bronchitis because they are extremely similar. I'm going to show you the proposed changes in the Federal Register and then where we would see that change happen in 38 CFR, where we would see the update. So prior to May 19th, GERD was rated analogous, meaning closely associated with hinal hernia. The symptoms were very loose, and we saw a decent amount, meaning a lot of veterans be rated at 10% and 30%, and sometimes your occasional 60% rating for GERD on the old criteria prior May 19th. Well, May 19th and now, with the new criteria, GERD became esophageal stricture, and those symptoms for esophageal stricture are way more strict, says a solid pun there, than they were before, meaning the old GERD rating for like 95% of veterans was way more favorable than the new GERD rating. Unless you have esophageal stricture, then of course the new GERD rating is favorable, but that is not as common. That's exactly what's happening with constructive bronchitis. And I'm going to say CB from now on because those words are hard for me to say, right? So CB was rated by association, and now the new diagnostic code, which would be 6605, excuse me, would give its own testing criteria to CB, and veterans are not really happy with that testing criteria because just like how esophageal stricture is a very strict way to rate GERD, same thing with constructive bronchitis when it comes to testing. That's what's going on. So here's the Federal Register. This is the proposed rule change. Okay, proposed rule change. We're going to scroll down. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but this is the most important part right here. At present, VA does not have a specific diagnostic code for CB. When VA encounters disabilities, yada, 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 and then it talks about 6605. Let me just Control F 6605 here. Boom, there we go. VA is proposing this new change, 6605. The CB edition is the only proposal, and VA seeking public comment on this issue only. Got it. And so then you scroll down to, okay, well, here is really the change we would see in 38 CFR and code 4.96. Now, what I'm going to do is show you where this is at in 38 CFR because it kind of paints a better picture of to what is going on. So sharing this tab, here we are. This is actual 38 CFR, so not proposed. This is what we see right now, and it's talking about this subparagraph here, right? And then 6605 would be added, 6600, 6603, 6604, and 6605. There we go. And it would actually change from 6600 through 6605. Boom, got it. Now, last thing I'm going to show you is the respiratory system. Okay, this is 38 CFR for respiratory system. We're just going to look up bronchitis. There's going to be a ton of these here. Boom. And this is the rating criteria for bronchitis. And so we see 6600 here in all of this testing. We see 6601, all that testing for asthma, and for 6603, 6604, and then right here below this one, you would see 6605 with its various testing criteria. Now, what I'm also going to do is from the press conference, someone absolutely hammered the VA and really put the VA secretary on the spot when it comes to answering questions on this. And so that's what we're going to look at right now is one, the question that was asked is veterans are essentially mad or they disagree with the testing criteria. And then we're going to listen to the VA secretary's response on that.
So Secretary, I have a couple of questions about the VA's proposed rule for constrictive bronchiolitis. Can you tell me how personally involved were you in the issuing of that rule that created a new code for constrictive bronchiolitis? Were you briefed on the criteria for what the criteria would be for the sake of establishing disability benefits?
Yeah, so all of our rulemaking is published in the Federal Register under my signature. So I was very involved in it.
Okay, so I was looking at the comments earlier today.
Okay, so
there were comments.
that's the bait and hook, right? So he gets the secretary to really say he was involved, and now he's going to drop this hammer on him, which I think is pretty funny. But let's listen to what he has to say.
Most of the comments are, praise the VA for establishing a code, but they criticize the VA for the criteria for assessing benefits. The proposed rule, as you know, calls for using pulmonary function tests, maximum oxygen consumption, and metabolic equivalence. So, Mr. Secretary, what do you say to the people who put in comments that say those tests are insensitive and can't detect that condition?
I say it's awesome that they're using the public comment period to add comments. And,
Good answer.
The way this works is when the comment period closes, then we'll respond to those comments and we'll use those comments to sharpen the rulemaking. And so what I say to them most profoundly is thank you.